Landscape design of the courtyard of a private house. Photo of modern yards and plots. Each owner wants to create a beautiful and original landscape design of the courtyard of a private house. You can create such beauty yourself, but for this you need to familiarize yourself with the rules, subtleties and nuances of landscaping and zoning space. Space zoning. Deciding on the style of landscape design of a summer cottage, it is necessary to zoning the space. A beautiful and easy to use yard cannot exist without the following functional elements. Often the following sites are organized in the yard. Parking for guests. Paths dividing the space. Place for leisure activities. House for inventory. Artificial reservoir. Flower garden or flower beds. Architectural forms. You need to think about additional zones. If there are children in the family, it is worth equipping a playground. You can provide a picnic area on the grass, build a real pool and even equip a Japanese Zen garden. It all depends on how often the operation of such sections of the yard is planned. If the yard is small, you can think about combining some zones. For example, a picnic area can be equipped with a folding table and chairs, as a result of which the vacant space easily turns into a field for sports games. Such an organization of space is one of the most important elements of the landscape design of the courtyard of a private house. The ideas of modern courtyards are replete with various options for the distribution of functional areas, from which you can choose the most original solution. Decorative zone separation. To visually delimit the territory, it is worth taking advantage of all the existing opportunities for yard gardening. To separate one section of the yard from another, hedges, tall decorative bushes or tall perennial flowers and plants are often used. Playgrounds or picnic areas can be separated by a small picket fence or wicker fence. Transitions between zones are decorated with flowering arches. If you plan to create a gazebo or a small terrace, and the owner is limited in funds, you can replace them with a lightweight pergola by planting weaving roses, creepers or clematis around it. You can hide from annoying neighbors behind interesting structures, living trellises or trellises. They create a feeling of a wall, but do not clutter up the space. In more open areas, screens or screens made from natural materials look good. They can be considered unique design elements of the courtyard of a private house. Ideas for modern homes with similar masterpieces, often handmade, are eye-catching. Screens create an additional shadow on the yard and to some extent protect the interior from the wind. They can be river shields, bamboo mats or vine linens. Helpful advice. In addition to the usual playground for games in a secluded corner of the yard behind large green bushes, you can organize a hut. It will be an original addition to the design and, to the delight of children, an excellent place to spend leisure time. Paths and playgrounds. Undecorated parking spaces and paths between separate sections of the yard look rather ugly. They look like trampled lawns. Platforms and paths paved with various materials look much more original. For these purposes, use wild stone, granite, paving stones, wood cuts, concrete plates. When laying out the paths, you can leave a small space between the plates and fill it with small pebbles, sand or garden grass. In such intervals, small flowering plants can be planted. Thyme, cloves, primroses and any dwarf plants will do. Such original paths stand out against the background of almost any design of the courtyard of a private house. Paths located in the immediate vicinity of the house should be made in a simple style. Materials such as paving stones, concrete, red and white bricks are more appropriate here. In more informal areas, for example, near an artificial pond or in a mini forest, when organizing paths, it is better to use irregular shapes, materials of various textures and dimensions. Helpful advice. Be sure to focus on the overall style of the facade when creating the design of the courtyard of a private house. Ideas for modern courtyards showcase different options for decorating the site, depending on the material used to finish the house. Yard gardening. After delimiting the space, designing paths and other functional places, you can start gardening. It is very important to choose and arrange the plants correctly, depending on their size and flowering periods. It's worth starting with the largest shrubs and trees. With their help, shady areas of the yard are created, perfectly protected, including from the wind. Individually planted specimens help draw attention to the most interesting and significant design elements. A bench can be placed under a large tree, a bright rose bush will dilute a nondescript green lawn, and juniper thickets will create a restrictive border. For landscaping, brightly flowering plants are often used. From entire colonies, unique multicolored or plain meadows or flower beds are created. When planting flowers, you should pay attention to the flowering period of each specimen. This approach will allow you to organize a flower bed that will attract views almost all year round. So that in winter the flower beds do not seem empty, they should be diluted with small coniferous plants. If there is no time to cut lawns often, you can arrange flower pots with unpretentious specimens throughout the yard. In cold periods, they are stored indoors for storage, and in the spring, when the first warm days come, they are taken out into the street. Thus, heat-loving plants such as lemon, mandarin, cypress and others can be grown. Helpful advice. Original flower beds can be created from vegetable crops and berry bushes. They will decorate the yard and at the same time, closer to autumn, they will give a tasty and healthy harvest. At the end of the main work, you can begin to decorate with special decorative elements. Experienced designers for these purposes use large and small sculptures, small fountains, which are placed in recreation areas, flower beds and flower beds. The most popular for decorating the yard are animal figurines located in the most interesting and noticeable areas. Decorative elements include original flower pots made from improvised materials. It can be old barrels, unwanted shoes, unused garden tools. An old bicycle looks good, leaning against a wicker fence and filled with flower pots, large jugs with a dry imitation of a stream, and much more, which appeared as a result of a flight of fancy.